Good morning, Management 211. I am here on March 31st to talk to you a little bit more about our semester, and we're going to go over Chapter 13 today. So, I'm making a couple of changes to our syllabus. Currently, the syllabus says we'll do Chapters 13 and 14 this week. Instead, I'm going to do Chapter 13 this week and Chapter 14 next week, and then we'll jump into your presentations on WebEx, which, this is just trying something out. I've never done something like this before. Most of you probably haven't either, so we're just going to do our best. I'm not going to do any more graded assignments besides your paper presentation and the final exam. So don't worry about those anymore. It's too hard for a lot of students to get the work in because people are traveling or quarantined or sick or all sorts of things that are happening or have family members who are ill. So we're going to eliminate all assignments besides that paper, that group project, and the final exam. Those will be the only other two graded assignments that you will do for this course. And I'm switching up doing Chapter 13 this week and 14 next week because the job search material that I usually do is a little difficult. I'm going to post a link. If you took 111 from me, you've already seen this video, but if you haven't, if you didn't take that course from me, you have not seen this video. So I'm going to post a link next week to this video that is really helpful when you're interviewing and searching for jobs. But otherwise, I'm just not going to be able to do that. It's just really hard to do interviews and work with other students in this new environment. So that's where we are. Like I said in every video and communication, please stay, on Canvas, read those announcements, pay attention to all of that and what I'm saying. Make sure that you're checking in Canvas often. And, we just have 2 more weeks before we start presentations. So this week, today, we're going to go through Chapter 13. Thursday, like I mentioned on Canvas, I'm going to just give you time to use Google Hangouts to meet with your groups. Next week will be the same thing. On Tuesday of next week, the 7th, you will meet, or I will upload another video likely. I'm trying to do videos instead of WebEx because, my husband is also working from home and our 4 kids are being homeschooled. So it's difficult for me to go live every class. I will go live for those WebEx classes that we'll be doing in a couple of weeks. But that's what the next 2 weeks look like in here. If you have questions, shoot me an email. You can text me 513-256-8659. I will always respond. And like I said, please don't fret over this class. As long as you hand in that work and put some effort into it and are checking in on Canvas, we'll do fine in this class. So let's talk about Chapter 13. Chapter 13 is a pretty short chapter, so this will be a shorter lecture for all of you. Whoops, that is falling. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I love doing videos instead of being face-to-face. So Chapter 13 is about effective communication and IT management. You might pull this up on your laptop right now. One of the things that we know in organizations is that communication is very important. Shared communication, where people both define situations the same way, where groups all understand what's going on in the same way. Communication is any time we're sharing information between 2 or more individuals or groups. And good communication makes organizations more efficient, create higher quality products, able to respond more quickly and effectively to customers, and more innovation through effective communication. So what does the communication process look like? So, we used to have this idea that somebody had a message, they said the message or wrote it, the receiver got it, and that was all that happened, that you just got this message as it was sent. We now know that the process is much more involved than that, right? If I send a message with one meaning and you decode it a different way because of noise or because you don't trust the medium or you don't understand the medium, you might decipher it a different way. So if I text my husband and I say, I'm making chicken for dinner tonight, and he texts me back, the words chicken again. The message is not clear, right? He could be saying chicken again, or he could be saying chicken again. I don't know because I can't hear his tone. I don't know what his feelings on my chicken are. So communication, to be effective, has to be clear from both the sender of the message and the receiver of the message. And that's one of the things that managers really need to focus on, is how to do that. So let me just get my makeshift little setup here, because I was not expecting to teach half of this class in my office at home. But so you can read through in the chapter, what that communication process looks like. We also know it's important to understand both verbal and non-verbal communication cues as they happen in the workplace. Being able to hear and read what people say, but also understand facial expressions or tone or different kinds of body language to really understand how our employees are reacting to us. Information richness tells us how much information a medium can get across, right? So we know that the highest form of information richness is face-to-face communication. So if we were in a classroom right now and I could see how you were reacting, I could respond immediately to questions. That would be the richest form of communication. Spoken communication that's transmitted electronically is pretty rich because you can still see my facial expression and the words that I'm saying while seeing them. Written communication is less rich. Again, it's that chicken again situation. And impersonal written communication, like a generic letter, is the least rich form of information. So, oftentimes we live in a digital society and we almost forget about the need for face-to-face communication. So when you are in a management position, it's important to remember that sometimes the most effective way to get a question answered or share information is to walk across the hall to someone else's office and just talk to them. Tell them what it is that you need them to know. This chapter also talks about the idea of management by wandering around. We've talked about that before in here. This idea that if you can walk up to walk around where your employees are working, their cubicles or their offices, and engage in lighthearted conversation with them and kind of ask some, generic questions about what they're working on, you can really check in and guide them toward making the right decisions and working efficiently and effectively. Okay. So if you go through this chapter, it's going to talk about different ways of communicating impersonally, right? Blogs and social media and that sort of thing. One other thing that happens in organizations now is the analysis of data and collection of data, right? Managers in any part of an organization are going to use data to improve their efficiency and effectiveness. And so information technology and information systems are ways that we acquire, store, analyze information so that we can make the best decisions for our organization with all the data and statistics that we have. So most of management is about making decisions, and it's easier to make decisions when you have more information. Managers also use information to create measurable goals, which we've talked about a million times in here, and measure those goals. Measure them against the past, measure them against predictions, measure them against industry standards or similar organizations to be able to prove where there's been growth, to be able to adapt or change or evolve where there might not be the expected growth for whatever it is that they're working on. And so technology is really important in organizations. Much of this is done by computers, which this chapter talks about. And it's a really specific area to go into, information systems or technology. And if you're interested in that, you want to study that specifically because it's knowledge that we don't all just come by typically, right? Chapter also talks a little bit about the importance of e-commerce systems, right? Either business to business, business to customer, or business to marketplace. So that's sort of how data collection works, communication in the workplace for managers, and how communication now is aided by data, organizations tend to be data driven now, and how that can be a way for you to, showcase skills or make a difference in an organization. So if you look at the end of this PowerPoint presentation, there's a slide here about different mediums you might use for communication. I'm not going to have you do that to turn in, like I said, but I want you to read it and really think about it on your own. Think about how information should be delivered to people and what the difference a medium makes, right? Like, none of us would want to be broken up with by text message. So think about that and consider it. And thanks for watching this video. Again, if you have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to email me, text me. We're going to get through all this together. The main concern of Miami and me is for you to stay healthy and safe, to flatten that curve, as you probably hear 1,000 times a day. And I am super bummed that we're not meeting again, but we'll get through this class together. And I'm really excited about your presentations in a couple of weeks, and seeing how we can work with technology to get that information across to the class. And I'm excited to read those papers. So thanks so much. Have a great week. I will see you again next Tuesday. Bye.